What's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and today I'm going to be talking about what I think the better training shoe is between the Reebok Nano 9 and the Nike Metcon 5. So this is going to be a highly opinionated, highly subjective video. We're going to talk about what I prefer between the two shoes and why I think they're better or worse for certain things. So, like I said, highly opinionated. You might think the Metcon 5 is better, you might think the Nano 9 is better, and you would not be wrong. It really just comes down to preference. They're both the best training shoes that you could possibly get at the moment. So the build quality between these two shoes has been so far so good, but there are some questions about durability, and that goes both ways. So with the Metcon 5, the main problem that I have seen with durability is that the upper is peeling away from the outsole. My guess is that the outsole is just too rigid for the more flexible upper this year, but one of my pairs actually had that issue, so I had to send that one back. Another thing with the Metcon 5 is some of the dual density midsoles are coming like misaligned so that you can feel a prominent line where the two densities meet. So that's another one. I had that issue on one of my pairs. I sent that back as well. With the Nano 9s, the main problem that we're seeing here is that the rubber is peeling away from the TPU carrier. So it hasn't happened to me personally, but that's what I've been getting in from people that follow me on Instagram and have been asking me questions about durability. So for durability, I'm gonna say that it's gonna be a wash between these two shoes. The next that I'm going to talk about is fit. Which one fits better for me? So I have been saying the Metcon 5 fits snug, and I am not the only one that thinks these shoes fit snug. I had to get a size 10.5, which is half a size up from my normal size 10, where my Nano 9s fit perfectly in a size 10. I wouldn't do anything with the fit of these shoes. They fit a little bit on the wider side, but I think it's comfortable for me. The size 10.5 Metcon 5 is more comfortable than the 10, but there is a slight bit more room in the toe that I could deal without. So for fit, I think the Nano 9s are the better choice for me. For running, I'm gonna give it to the Metcon 5 this year, and this is gonna be very subjective. The reason why the Metcon 5 works better for me for running is because I run with a midfoot forefoot strike, and this whole front part of the shoe is extremely flexible, and then you also have the dual density midsole that's very soft in the forefoot and midfoot of the shoe. The heel of the Metcon 5 is clunky. If you are a heel striker, you're gonna hate running in the Metcon 5, and that's where you're gonna like running in the Nano 9 better because of the decoupled heel. It'll work for you a lot better. For me, it personally does not work at all because I run with a more of a midfoot and forefoot strike. I tend to hit the outside part of the outsole of the shoe when I make contact with the ground, and it feels really clunky for me to run in the Nano 9s. I personally run better in the Metcon 5s. If you gave me the Nano 9s to run in, I would not hate it. They're not the most awful shoe to run in, and a lot of people that do run with a heel strike say they're pretty good, but they just do not work for me that great or as well as the Metcon 5s do. When it comes to plyometric movements like double unders, box jumps, I'm gonna say that it's a tie between the two shoes. I don't really care to do double unders in the Metcon 5s because the forefoot is a little bit on the soft side. It becomes a little bit harder to track your double unders in the Metcon 5s, whereas on the Nano 9s, it's a little bit easier to track your double unders because the forefoot is a lot more responsive. Rebounding box jumps in the Nano 9s is a little bit easier to time as well because of the more responsive midsole material. It's not awful to do in the Metcon 5s, but I just prefer doing it with the more reactive midsole of the Nano 9s. Now, one area that the Metcon 5s is definitely better than the Nano 9s in is doing burpees. The toe is just shaped a lot better on the Metcon 5s to do burpees in than it is on the Nano 9s. It's a little bit wider and clunkier of a toe on the Reebok, and on the Metcon, it's a more slender toe. It's a little bit easier to pop back up on your feet. So when it comes to plyometric movements, it's going to be a wash between the two shoes. For stability, my pick is going to be the Nano 9. The reason for that is just because it's got a wide flat contact area with the ground. The midsole is a little bit more responsive than it is on the Metcon 5. The heel is still pretty solid on the Metcon 5, but the forefoot is a little bit mushy. So I would prefer lifting in the Nano 9s, but that's not saying the Metcon 5s are a slouch. These are still very, very good lifting shoes. They are a Metcon after all. They are a training shoe, and the Metcon 5s are excellent lifting shoes. You saw Noah Olsen in the games hit well over 300 something pounds on his clean in these Metcon 5s. So I would not worry about lifting in either of these shoes, but my personal preference would be the Nano 9s. For rope climbs, I'm going to say that it is a wash between both of them. I think these are both really, really good shoes for climbing the rope as far as traction goes. But once again, the durability is questionable between both the shoes, so it's going to be a tie with rope climbs. Now, the most subjective thing is looks. And for this one, I'm going to easily pick the Metcon 5. I think it's a better looking shoe overall. I don't actually mind the Thanos chin sidewalls. And I think the colorways on the Metcon 5 side are just way, way better than on the Nano 9s. This is the Metcon 5 Plus. You saw it at the games. It just released like last week and sold out almost instantly. Whereas this is the all black Nano 9, which popped up on Amazon not too long ago. I ordered it. It's not out yet. I think it comes out in the end of September. And so far, I haven't seen any Nano 9 colorways that I've been blown away by. I think the Games colorway is probably the best showcase of what they could do with the Nano 9s. But so far, Nike is killing it with the colorways, and the Metcon 5 looks better in my opinion. So for me, I'm gonna go with the Metcon 5 for looks. If you were to ask me, pick one shoe to train in for the rest of my life, all things considered, I would pick the Nano 9. I think it is a more stable lifting shoe. It's not the most awful running shoe. I could get used to it, but there are other shoes that I'd rather wear. And if it came down to an actual running workout, I would just wear running shoes. They're better for plyometric movements. I think the midsole material is definitely better in the Nano 9, and I think this shoe fits my feet a lot better than the Metcon 5s do. But the Metcon 5s are the better running shoe for me. They are not as good for plyometric movements because the midsole material is a little bit dull. Some people are going to like the Hyperlift inserts, but personally, I don't really care for them. I do think the Metcon 5s are a very stable shoe. They're just not as much so as the Nano 9. But if you were to tell me to pick one shoe to wear for the rest of my life, like that's the only shoe that I could wear for the rest of my life, it would probably be the Metcon 5 because they're comfortable, they're stable, and in my opinion, they're a little bit more wearable because they look better. The colorways are better than the Metcon 5. So either way you go, there's really no right or wrong answer. It just comes down to preference. My pick for a training shoe would be the Nano 9. This is the best training shoe that you can get right now, whereas slightly behind it is going to be the Metcon 5, though I do believe that this is the better looking shoe. It's the more wearable shoe because of just appearance. If you guys have any questions about the Nano 9 or the Metcon 5, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And as always, guys, please hit that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.